our Founders Friday. I'm Archana Jahagirdar, the founder and managing partner of Rugum Capital, and I have with me the founder of one of our portfolio companies, Sweebon, Aastha Anand. And Aastha and I want to sort of have a little conversation about what it means to be VC funded, what does it mean to be a woman in a man's world, and a bit of this and that. Hi Aastha, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. So, if you could just quickly tell us about how did the whole process of raising your, first couple of rounds, how did that all sort of happen? And why did you want to raise money?
Uh, so initially, honestly, I didn't know much about raising money. I think we raised our first round in 2019. The VC universe was not as well known to those who weren't in the know as such. No Shark Tank at that time. So what happened was actually our products was what helped us raise funds. So our first couple of rounds were more inbound interest. So VCs saw the products in supermarkets and stores, and they reached out to us and said, "Hey, we want to talk to you. Can you come in? We want to learn more about what your plan is, what your journey is, all of that." And luckily, and you were in fact our first couple of investors, and we hit it off. We had a common vision in terms of how we saw the company growing.
You got those inbound phone calls.
Yeah.
What did you do? So, I'll tell you just a quick this thing, when we used to cold call and we still cold
Yeah.
call founders, some they'll say, नहीं चाहिए हमको लोन नहीं चाहिए फोन मत करो they think we're a spam call. So what did you
I'm
think?
so glad you're saying that you cold call founders, because half the people think that's a myth. So to everybody who doesn't know, yes, VCs cold call founders. It happens once in a
Rukum
while.
cold calls founders
Rukum-
all the time.
Yes. So our first call had actually come from Titan Capital. At that time it was just Rohit and Kunal, and I thought it was just a friend playing a joke. And then when I went in to meet them, I didn't know what VC funding was, and I outside of getting business money through a loan from a bank, I couldn't really fathom that something else could exist. So I was sure that they wanted a collateral. So those are like the doubts that you have initially, right? कि मेरा घर गिरवी रख लोगे, let me read the fine print, all of those. So that was the initial fear, and then after that, once that fear subsides, because VCs like yourself tell us that no, we don't want anything like that from you. It's about understanding what is it that the VC does want. So if you're bringing on board a VC, what is it that you're committing? In terms of how you're going to build a company, how you're going to grow, what your responsibility is as a founder, all of those things. So really understanding that was the other aspect. That okay, if you don't want a collateral, you don't want your money back. So what is it that you want? What can I bring to the table?
You're a solo founder, you're a woman, and of course, you have had children in the course of building your business. So, any quick 2 or 3 takeaways, both positive, negative, that you think it could be better or it was already good?
I think I say it a lot. I think it's very important to ideally have a strong team with you. That would have been ideal. If not, uh, have a strong spouse who can step in, because that's required a lot. I think it's a difficult journey. It has its ups and downs. I think, like I say, it's my first baby, right? So building a business demands a lot out of you. So one should be ready for that journey, and it's irrespective of gender. However, women are usually the primary parent as well. So if that's the case, you get pulled in multiple directions very often. And biologically, men can't have your children. So that's the other issue. So have a supportive ecosystem, build that, invest in that, and be patient. I think those are things that I've really learned, and that's helped.
So, quick, if you could give maybe 1 or 2 again takeaways that once you've got institutional investor on your cap table, what do you think is the key sort of either relationship, or is there something that you feel founders who are looking to, raise capital, what should they keep in mind?
So I think first and foremost, anybody who raises institutional capital should realize that it's a position of responsibility. Once you've taken money in from someone who is not going to ask for the money back, there is something you need to ensure, that is that you run the business to the best of your capacity and have avenues for them to make their money back, which is not by repayment, right? So make sure that you're in it for the long run. You're committed to your own business, which most founders are. And that's when you should go and take institution. Secondly, I think the main relationship between a founder and a VC is of transparency. So make sure that you're constantly communicating, whether it's okay to shift gears, to have doubts, but and thirdly, communicate and listen to them. So I think I mentioned that earlier as well, that they're your VCs, the ones who are on your cap table, are one of the few in the ecosystem who are already trusting of you, right? So listen to what they're saying. They're on the same page as you. Your growth is their growth, your win is their win. So sometimes, even though you may not agree with what they're saying, it's for the company's good. So listen to it with an open mind and try to apply it wherever possible. So Arjuna, what is it like to be a woman in the VC space?
Tough and tough. If gender is sort of made to be less than, that sort of thinking permeates so deeply that a lot of men, when they say that they are feminist or they support women, it's very insidious. Patriarchy is actually very, very insidious. So there are sort of expectations, there are physiological aspects that are just not factored in. And, as a woman, you're expected to be part of the normative sort of thinking, lifestyle. And if there's even a variance of it, you're already then a little, you're considered a little bit of a fruitcake. And none of that really helps, right? So, I mean, you're fighting a lot of attitudinal issues apart from the fact that, there isn't anybody on the other side who sort of can say, no, this is normal and, it's not a big deal. So that's one. So just about, from raising capital from LPs. Now, on the other side, which is trying to get onto cap tables, I mean, that's also it's hyper competitive, right? So, and a lot of the funds are, of course, headed by men. So, again, there's that old boys network that you're not part of, therefore. So, again, you have to work that much harder and you've got to do that much more to prove yourself.
Right.
So overall, I would say it's hard. And there's always that, I think, like if we were a comic sort of panel, there'll be this large question mark bubble on our heads that, does she have it in her? Can she last long? Is she tough enough? And you're like, why not? I mean, it's a human sort of traits and not really a gender based. So it's tough.
Okay. So it's tough, right?
It's tough. With a capital T, capital O, capital U, capital G, and a capital H.
It's tough, but someone's got to do it, right?
No, of course. That should not be the reason not to do something. It's just that, like anyway, you always think that somebody else has got it easy.
Yeah.
So when you see your male peers, you always, of course, think that they've got it maybe a little easier. But again, of course, one doesn't know, but that's the assumption.
Now the question on everyone's mind, what does Rukam look for in founders? What should a founder do to get investment from Rukam Capital?
I think because we almost entirely cold call and we do our own deal sourcing, we are not into momentum sort of investing, which basically means that in the market there's always this hot deal and then everybody's chasing that hot deal. So we don't want to be part of hot deals. See, what we are looking for is our founders who understand their responsibility towards the investor, who are all in, because sometimes just being all in gets you far further than brilliance or pedigree or even a great idea.
Define all in.
So all in really means that you'll do whatever it takes, except for being unethical.
Right.
And I mean, there is no such thing as that at 5 o'clock I'll shut my bag and shut the office, because there is no 5 o'clock sort of end time for an entrepreneur, especially in the early stages. So I think it becomes important to be at it, not perfectly, because there's no such thing as perfection, And the other thing is that because also, I mean, there's so much discovery when you're building something from day one. You just got to have that commitment that look, something can come out of it. And when it's not sort of working out, also to recognize it. So that judgment call. And I think the other thing, like I feel that I would look for in a founder or founders is that, how to build relationships. My learning over the years has been that it's not money, it's not idea, but it's your ability to get work out of people, whether you like them, whether they like you. To sort of get people to walk with you as long as you need them to, but not being transactional, because again,
Right.
that's a very negative way of working. I think if a founder really understands that, I think then you can move mountains.